Tonight, calling him a coward, state police say in the end, Eric Frein surrendered. They reportedly put him in the handcuffs of State Police Corporal Brian Dixon, the man Frein allegedly killed. Tonight, live team coverage from the Poconos. The news starts now.
Now, from the station working for you, this is ABC 27 News in high definition.
Good evening, I'm Alicia Richards.
And I'm Al Canosa. Thank you for joining us tonight. Massive manhunt over. We have team coverage of the capture of Eric Frein.
Law enforcement is scheduled to have a news conference at any moment. When that begins, we'll of course take you there live. In the meantime, U.S. Marshals captured Frein in an old airplane hangar at an abandoned resort in Tannersville, Monroe County. We have been closely following the search for Frein for 48 days. On September 12th, a state police corporal was shot and killed, and another was injured at the Blooming Grove Barracks in Pike County.
Frein was a survivalist and a war reenactor who often dressed in military uniforms. He is accused in the ambush shooting death of a state trooper on September 12th. He then faded into the forest until today. Dan Carrigan begins our live team coverage in Blooming Grove, Pennsylvania. Dan.
And Alicia, good evening. We're at the Pike County Training Center. The governor, along with law enforcement officials, are set to speak here any minute and are expected to give more information as to how the 7-week manhunt for Eric Frein ended, with Frein captured. Slumped in the back of a state police car, a trooper at his side, clean-shaven, nose bloodied, and reportedly wearing the handcuffs that belonged to the late Corporal Brian Dixon, whom Frein allegedly shot and killed 31-year-old Frein. His arrest ends a nearly 50-day manhunt, putting one of the FBI's 10 most wanted and in custody, and ends what only can be described as a nightmare for those living in the Poconos. The multi-county hunt for the man considered armed and dangerous put people here on edge, even closed schools. Both federal and state officials confirmed that Frein was captured by U.S. Marshals today after he surrendered at an abandoned aircraft hangar. Alex Hoff will have more on that in a minute. As for Frein's arrest, officials did not go into detail up to this point. Reports indicate Frein was armed at the time of capture. Listen to what residents had to say.
The residents can save $1.5 million a week trying to find this guy. I'm surprised he came in alive.
I'm surprised he lasted this long, being out there hiding and everything, so glad they caught him. Everybody can go back to normal, living their lives, kids going back to school.
Now, we were told Frein is at nearby Blooming Grove Barracks for questioning where the alleged incident occurred. We are here at the Pike County Training Center waiting for the governor to give us more information on Frein's arrest. Working for you, Dan Carrigan, ABC 27 News. Guys, back to you.
All right, our thanks to Dan. We're going to get more details from law enforcement about Frein's capture tonight and in the days to come. Right now, investigators are searching the area for anything he may have left behind.
They say this tonight, no one was hurt when they took Frein into custody, although it certainly looked as though his nose has taken a blow. We can only hope it still hurts. Alex Hoff is our continuing coverage.
Police have blocked entrances to the 290-acre former Birchwood Resort near Tannersville. As overwhelming as this police presence seems, those I talked to in town told me they didn't see and hear a whole lot, although they expected fireworks. Now, inside this resort is an abandoned airfield and an airplane hangar where Frein was apprehended by U.S. Marshals. As you've heard, he was armed, although there was no gunfire. Inside this resort is an abandoned airfield and an airplane hangar where Frein was apprehended by U.S. Marshals. As you've heard, he was armed, although there was no gunfire. This resort was built in the 50s by a pilot, hence the hangar, but was forced to close in the 90s. A few years ago, it was bought to be revamped, but more recently was listed for sale for $3 million. As interesting of a history as this place has, a whole new one was written tonight by the capturing of one of the 10 most wanted men in America. Working for you in Monroe County, I'm Alex Hoff, ABC 27 News.
His capture was made. And I am so pleased to be able to say that tonight we have made that major step that has to be taken down the path to justice. Due to the hard work of everybody that has been up here for the 7 weeks that this has been going on, all the different law enforcement officials who stand behind me and who they represent, the hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have been involved, have been working very, very hard out there, looking every day to see this day come. And when this day did come, and as had been talked about from the day of the shooting, or the day after the shooting, he was placed under arrest and handcuffed with the handcuffs of Corporal Dixon, which I think is very appropriate. What's also should be noted, that while everybody was out there, nobody else got shot after that day. Trooper Douglas is doing much better. Our prayers are with him. Our prayers are with Mrs. Dixon and her 2 sons, and with Trooper Douglas's family. I can't tell you how much, on behalf of a grateful state, we want to thank all the partners who have been involved in this mission to capture this individual, and how much you have given your heart and your soul in the name of justice. I want to commend the great work of the Commissioner of the State Police, Frank Noonan, who has been in contact with me sometimes hourly as to the progress of this manhunt. Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, as you know, has been up here leading many of the conversations from the podiums, but together with the entire team, they have been working extremely hard. Many, many long hours, days, and now weeks. The Pike County District Attorney, Raymond Tonkin, who's here with us, who now takes over in this prosecution, which is now going to be a prosecution, and all the federal and local law enforcement officers who have been involved in this also, and I know that the commissioner is going to name all of those. And additionally, law enforcement agencies from around the country that participated, that volunteered to participate in this. But I particularly want to thank the residents of northeastern Pennsylvania, particularly the Pike and Monroe County areas, whose patience, whose tolerance, and whose perseverance have been a tremendous support and lift to all of the law enforcement personnel that have been working out there day and night on this mission. You demonstrate the very best of Pennsylvania. Just today, when I was in the western part of the state, I ran into a couple from here in Pike County who were on their way to Western County, and they talked about nothing more than what was happening here in their support for all of law enforcement and what they were doing during this period of time. The support of the community has been instrumental to all of law enforcement. And then finally, I want to stop here and turn it over to the Colonel, to the Commissioner, but again, to the family of Trooper Dixon, to the family of Trooper Douglas, and to Trooper Douglas. Let me assure you, from everybody here, justice will be served. Colonel?
Thank you all for coming. This is a great day for the Pennsylvania State Police and for all Pennsylvanians. And it's only appropriate that I bring up Lieutenant Colonel Bivens with me, who has been leading this entire operation and has just done a fantastic job. You see many people behind me from various law enforcement agencies, the FBI, the ATF, the United States Marshals, and the Border Patrol was here. We have the Barrett Township Police Chief with us, many municipal police officers, Scranton Police Department, too many to count. The state agencies from surrounding states, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Ohio, Connecticut, all of them have sent help and been part of this. It has truly been a team effort and a pleasure to work with so many great, dedicated people. And the one thing I'd just like to point out, because there were so many, several thousand people that took part in this manhunt, the reason this was so important is because Eric Frein was dedicated to killing law enforcement members. He had at least one sniper rifle that we knew of. We knew he had a handgun. We knew at the beginning that he had explosive charges with him. I can't think of a more dangerous occupation than going into the woods after this individual. And yet, my biggest problem was telling people I don't need any more help. And that's truly significant. Now, let me tell you how this arrest took place. About at 6 p.m. this evening, At the Birchwood Pocono Air Park in Pocono Township in Monroe County, we've been broken down into many, many teams, a lot of them SWAT teams, and been assigned areas in the woods at various locations to sweep and to search, and we've been doing it for over 40 days. It's a hot, tiring, dangerous job. Today, the United States Marshal Service had one of their teams out at the abandoned airport. When they approached it, they saw an individual that they thought was Eric Frein, and they ordered him to surrender, to get down on his knees and raise his hands, which is what he did. Once they approached him, he admitted his identity, and he was taken into custody. He was turned over to the Pennsylvania State Police. As the governor said, Corporal Dixon's handcuffs were placed on him, and he was put in Corporal Dixon's car and transported back and is currently in custody. There are other search warrants that we're trying to serve right now on some areas that we believe he may have been staying at. And the thing that I want to emphasize, the reason this took so long is that it's such a big wooded area that he was totally familiar with, that he had a lot of places to hide in. And we had to be very careful in how we searched it. We would plot out different areas. We have a lot of cameras in there, but it was the marshals going out there today, and we had a lot of other people out there searching other areas that came upon him, and that's why he's in custody today. I know that this has been a real trial for many of the community and for all of my people and the people that are standing behind me and the people that have helped us. But let me explain to you. Eric Frein had a mission, and that was to attack law enforcement. If he got out of those woods, we were very concerned that he would then kill other law enforcement, and if not them, civilians. That's why we had to keep the pressure on him. Now, when the governor talked about calling me, I'm not saying he was a pest, but I will say he would call me 4 or 5 times every day. And he always ended with the same question: what else do you need? How do we get this done? Is there anything else I can do? And that's been great. And I can tell you, too, that all of the federal agencies, I've talked to the heads of all of them that have been participating with us, they all said the same thing. What can we do to help? We're in this for the long haul. We're in this with you. And that really made a tremendous difference, I believe, in this case. We weren't going to stop until this fugitive was arrested. And I'm glad that it ended without any other loss of life, including his. This way the people will know exactly how our justice system works, and I know that you're going to follow it, and I hope that it brings some closure to the families that have been so seriously affected. I know many of you were at the funeral of Corporal Dixon, and I've had an opportunity to talk to his wife, Tiffany, and to Trooper Douglas, and assure them that we would not stop until he was apprehended. And it makes me very proud to say that today he's apprehended. Let me introduce...
we learned a lot there. We learned they got Eric Frein at 6 o'clock. They would do this sweep and search, and when U.S. Marshals, it was their team that was out there, they would come across these abandoned buildings in this area in the Poconos. They came across this airport hangar. They saw him in there. They told him to get to his knees, put his hands up. Eric Frein did it. He admitted who he was. I love how they put him in Brian Dixon's handcuffs.
Yeah, and in the car, and I think, in fact, Eric was mentioned, we were surprised that he gave up so willingly, because all the speculation was he was not going to get down without a blaze of, he was going to get down in a blaze of glory.
Frank Noonan State Police said they were not going to give up until they got him. He was on a mission to kill law enforcement, and they weren't going to stop till they got him, and they got him. Well, law enforcement has been looking for him, as you have heard, for 7 weeks.
Yeah, search has involved hundreds of law enforcement officials and has impacted untold residents in the search area.
It's Friday night, September 12th at the State Police Barracks in Blooming Grove, Pike County. A sniper opens fire at shift change, killing 38-year-old Corporal Brian Dixon and injuring Trooper Alex Douglas. The manhunt for the shooter begins, and police have a message for that person.
You are a coward. You committed this spineless act and attacked defenseless troopers.
3 days later, a man finds a Jeep stuck in a retaining pond just a few miles away from the barracks. Police discover that it belongs to the parents of 31-year-old Eric Frein of Monroe County. Frein is called a suspect in the shootings. He had apparently talked of killing law enforcement officers. Frein's parents live in Canadensis, Monroe County, and police centered their search on that area. Within a week, the manhunt includes close to 1,000 officers, but officials say Frein is a trained survivalist and may have planned the crime for years. The search drags on for days and weeks in heavily wooded areas around Canadensis. Police say that Frein has been spotted on a number of occasions, but that he was able to quickly disappear among the extremely rugged terrain.
He had actually turned towards me, and that's where you could see the mud on his face.
We have had some reports of sightings. And we are following up on each of those. As you, I'm sure, are well aware, there's a lot of activity down in the northern end of Monroe County and right on the border there with Pike County.
At one point, police went on a room-by-room search of the abandoned Buck Hill Inn in the Poconos. The search came up empty. The ordeal takes a toll on residents of the Poconos. Schools are forced to close for the safety of the children. Residents are subject to home searches by police. Hunting season is put on hold. Yearly Halloween celebrations are in jeopardy. But finally, the ordeal comes to an end.
And it does so just in time for Halloween to go on as normal. We can hope.
Nice summary, and stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, John, and switching gears again, our top story tonight, great news. Eric Frein is in custody.
You bet. We've been bringing you live team coverage. We want to go back now to our Dan Kerrigan, who just stepped out of the news conference that's been going on. Dan.
A news conference just wrapped up here in Pike County. A lot of people here, the news media, a huge gathering tonight. Officials just finished speaking. Now, as to Frein's arrest, they gave more detail on that. They said in that airplane hangar, they told us Frein surrendered right away. Officials told us just moments ago they were relieved that he was arrested without incident. The governor also spoke during this news conference, saying that now it's time to move on to the prosecution and justice will be served. This news conference took some time. The Pike County District Attorney also spoke and said Frein lists a long list of charges, including first-degree murder, homicide of a law enforcement officer, and he said that they are going to seek the death penalty for Eric Frein. Frein is set to be arraigned either late tonight, next couple of minutes, or early tomorrow, or tomorrow as well. A lot of attention on this. Officials thanking the large effort. They said at one point nearly 1,000 were searching for Eric Frein. Again, thanking everyone involved and the community as well. They said now is the time to move on to the prosecution. Eric Frein is now in custody. They're going to look forward to doing that again. The DA here in Pike County said he's going to get the death penalty for Frein. This news conference just wrapped up moments ago. We're going to have more for you on Daybreak and throughout the day tomorrow. Working for you in Pike County tonight, Dan Kerrigan, ABC 27 News. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Great job to Dan. He just stepped out of that news conference. We do have crews that are going to remain there overnight. We'll bring you live shots beginning at 4:30 in the morning as well. So, you know, a lot of people, I think, thought Eric Frein would not be taken alive, but yes, he was today at 6 o'clock.
And just think of all the people now who don't have to fear what he might do to them or their loved ones.
Absolutely, because they did say in the part of the news conference that you and I could hear that they knew his mission was to kill law enforcement. They thought if they let him get out of those woods, that's what he was going to go do.
Yep.
So they stayed on it. And,
kudos to our guys there.
That's it for us. Thank you for being here. Jimmy Kimmel's next to lighten things up.
More local news in 5 hours and more coverage of Frein.